Counting down backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, and... All right, if it's Tuesday, it can mean only one thing, and that this is your favorite day of the week, because tonight is your night for Comic Book School Live, where we talk about the craft and business of making comics. We don't just have a special guest tonight, we also have a special clip, and my special friend, the robe-wearing, snuggie-wearing Mike Fasolo. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here, bud. Thanks for having me.
You know, Mike, we were off for a couple of weeks. I'm going to remind the audience that I was away in Casablanca teaching comic books and the craft and business of making comics. I am a professional comic book writer. And Mike, you were very busy in Hollywood typing, as I know and everybody knows. You are a 3-time Emmy-award winning screenwriter.
Yes. 3 times.
I can see the light flashing on your face there, Mike. If you're multitasking, everybody can tell you're multitasking.
I'm a multitasker, but I got 3 Emmys, so I can do many things.
You want to be part of the show tonight?
I'm all set. I had to turn the sound off, so when my instant messages came in, they didn't ding and disturb you.
Well, tonight we are going to be talking about something that you know an awful lot about, which is storytelling and this idea of a 3-act structure.
Yes. I actually took that class of that book that you just popped up there.
Oh, you did? You took the class?
Yeah, Robert McKee, many years ago.
All right.
Yeah, and it was he was good. It's good.
Okay.
He had a good speech.
He had a good speech. A lot of people use the Robert McKee method of storytelling. And I'm going to try to pull this graphic up. I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting the graphic up right now. All right, I think I got it. I've only been using this software for a couple of years now, and I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna do, Mike? I'm gonna pull up our guest, Michael Dolce. Mike,
what's up,
I'm so sorry. Here I have you sitting backstage waiting, and there you are with your back against a brick wall.
I know. Well, it was a tough one. It was tough to stay here, but really, what it came down to is you can't just have one mic on the show. You got to have 2.
Well, I didn't even realize it was the
I didn't
Mike
know.
times 2.
So you can never have enough.
Great job subbing in for me and Mike Fasolo. I would have to say that we're going to have you do this again in the future.
Oh yeah, at least
as long as I'm not playing
3 times
basketball on Tuesday night.
And that Bevan, I've never heard of Bevan before this, and all of a sudden Bevan is everywhere.
Yeah. Cookies work magic, right?
Yeah. Well, she was a really good guest, and you did a terrific job as a host, Mike. You really did. And you know what? You also had a big weekend recently. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up my slides. Just bear with me for a minute here, Mike. Stand by, please.
But he has trouble with
the PowerPoint. All right, so this is tonight's episode. I had noted, Mike, that you were going to be the guest host for the next 2 weeks. And then in the 3rd week, by the way, this is Mike at his booth at New York Comic Con doing many great things. And he was promoting the Sire, his comic book. But in Los Angeles, Mike, what were you doing here? Look at you in the top left corner, the most important person in going rogue in Hollywood. What was this all about?
Yeah, so it was pretty exciting. And I've actually been with this new startup company for 4 years in February, so 3+ years. It's called Rogue Matter, and we made our big launch debut in LA Comic-Con this weekend. So got to host a panel with the aforementioned lineup of awesome guests. Donovan Carter played Vernon on HBO's Ballers, which I loved that show. So that was a real treat. And he and I definitely connected. I got an interview with him.
It was a treat for him and a treat for you, right? Like he felt like
he actually. I got to be honest with you, we had a great time. I definitely snagged an interview for a future podcast as well. Brock O'Hearn, who's actually very connected to Rogue Matter as well too. They're publishing a book based on him, like as the character. It is a gigantic Thor-like character, and Brock O'Hearn in real life is a giant. He's a gorgeous human being.
Is that really his hair, Mike? I mean,
that is really his hair. Yeah.
Like I would read a book just on his hair.
Yes, absolutely.
If I had hair, that's the hair I would have.
Is that the hair you would have, Mike?
Yep.
Trent Olson is the editor-in-chief of Rogue Matter. I am the chief creative officer at Rogue Matter. I also host their featured podcast. Deirdre Eden was my co-host. She is an international best-selling author. Her book 7 of her Watcher series just hit Amazon and became a bestseller on the previous Friday. So it was awesome. The whole weekend we were celebrating for her. And Will Meldman is the creator of Kane, the Kane universe. Kane is the character Brock O'Hearn portrays in the book. Sherwin Shalati is an Emmy-nominated filmmaker, most notably for Lucifer, but he has a new show on Netflix as well too that he was a director for. So he does a lot of TV directing, and it was really great. And Christopher Yan, our chief business officer, but prior to being with Rogue Matter, he was with Lionsgate and Sony. He was actually on the acquisition teams that picked up, I don't know, a couple small little.
You had all these people on the stage at the same time.
What's that?
You had all these people on the stage
at
the same time?
Yes, I did. And
so what did they get, like a minute
to make it work really well?
Did it work well?
It did. It really did. It was about, what is our rogue journey? What got us to where we are right now? Because everyone has a story to tell. Brock O'Hearn, I mean, I thought his story was amazing. He was he for 5 years. I mean, he literally, just went out and started, he was sleeping on couches in LA trying to get work and trying to get gigs. And around 2013, he said, he went to a modeling agency and they're like, well, we can maybe get you a gig, but they really didn't think they could. But they noticed his social media following.
Hold on.
What's that?
See.
Yeah.
I could see how that guy could be like, I don't know, maybe I'll go to a modeling agency.
Right. But
Mike,
that's the funny part.
Ever strike you, Mike, is like, I got no place to live, but maybe I'll go to a modeling agency.
I think that every day, and then I just never do it.
Yeah, I never get around to it.
You can model the Snuggie though. I think.
Yes.
Remember, there's a hand model too. I mean, look at this. You can put the hand.
Yeah,
model
there you go.
But no, he couldn't find even work modeling though. That was the funny part. But they said, he had a lot of good photography done for his gig at the modeling age or his audition, whatever you want to call it. And he posted to something, some little known app called Instagram back in 2012. And now he has millions of followers, and that got him gigs. He played Jesus on History of the World Part 2 on the Hulu show. He's been on he's been on Tyler Perry shows a bunch or movies a bunch. He's done a lot of things, and now he's like, his rogue journey. One of the questions was, what was the highlight? What was the big high? And he's like, I got to pay my rent. He's like, that was the day. It was awesome. He's like, I managed to pay rent. And same thing with Vern from Ballers. He wanted to be a professional football player, played at UCLA. He went to the NFL. He actually got invited to the Raiders training camp, and then he got cut. And then no other team picked him up. And he was kind of at a crossroads. And someone from, his school was like, well, there's this management company looking for, actors. Why don't you try that? And he's like, all right, I've never acted before in my entire life. And he auditioned for Ballers and he got it. And that was it.
Wow.
And that was,
Mike, real quick, you did this all at LA Con. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yep.
And what was the response at LA Con to your Going Rogue in Hollywood panel?
It was great. We actually had double the amount of people that Elijah Wood had in his panel because we were in the panel right after him. And we were actually kind of surprised because we're like, wow, Elijah Wood's here and there's like 20 people in the room. We had 40. We were much better. No, we did. We did. It was a great. It was just overall a really tremendous, very inspiring panel because we had a lot of people in there that were looking to get into Hollywood. Like, how do I break in? How do I make comics? How do I, anything, right? And they were able to kind of, take notes and learn from people that have unusual journeys into this business. Sherwin Shalati, same thing. He was an indie filmmaker trying to break in for the longest time, and he basically said, you know what? I got a wife, I've got a kid now. I'm going to give myself 6 months, and if I can't break in after 6 months, I'm going to have to do something else. And it was month 5 when he got his first big break. He did this indie film. It got him recognized, and he ended up doing some director work at Lucifer and hasn't looked back since.
Well, here's the thing, Mike. I'm going to share real quick where people can check out your photos. You did a really nice job of sharing on social. If people want to check out Mike Dolce's photos and some of his adventures from LA Comic-Con, you can find him on Instagram at Sire Studios. He's always drawn the pictures. He's always taken the pictures. Oh, look at that. He was promoting the show. So Mike's always doing something. This is Bevan. That was the co-host that came on. I thought she was terrific. Tell her thank you, and that I'm ready to have her join again. You did a little clip with the guy from The Flash.
Yep.
So people should check out the Sire and the books that you're putting out. They should follow you.
And now we're putting out books through Rogue Matter as well too. So I have a book that I'm surprised I don't actually have it on my Instagram, but I have it on my Twitter account. Roman's Rise, #1, an homage to Big Trouble in Little China. It's about a podcaster who will do whatever it takes to save his sister from a Chinese demigod, including delving into the realm of ancient Chinese mysticism.
And you guys have a pretty big show there on the YouTube as well, right, Mike?
Yeah. No, and that's going to be, we're going to be bringing it back in January as well too. So we've been on a hiatus, and it's going to be me and a rotating amount of different guests and co-hosts.
You mean rotating rogues, Mike?
That's right. Well, we're going to find the rogue of the week. Every week is the rogue of the week. So,
well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on and coming back. I'm sure you're exhausted from all the schmoozing and networking from LA.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. I must be getting good at this because I've already bounced back somehow. It only took 20 years to figure it out.
I'm still recovering from Morocco, Mike. I
can imagine that. You'll have to share some stories of that. I'm sure that
certainly will. Mike, thank you so much for joining us, and we will look forward to seeing you guest host again in the future.
Anytime, man.
All right, man. Thank you. Bye. Man, that guy's always got something going on, doesn't he?
Always got something going on. He's a mover and a shaker.
He is a mover and a shaker. He's moving and he's shaking. Oh, there's my wife.
Oh, hi, Janet.
Oh, hey, Janet. That was it. I'm assuming she was talking to me and not you.
Well, I am a husband, so
you are a husband. Oh, right. She could be just talking specifically about you or me. Oh, and hi, Mike. There you go. And hi, Mike.
I guess she was talking about you.
Yeah. The husband was for me, and the hi, Mike was for you. So, Mike, there you go. So we had Mike Dolce on, but we have a pretty packed show in terms of excitement, and then we'll be giving you an update on Rob AnderSin, who has decided to take a step back from talking about comic books on YouTube and why, and we'll unpack that a little bit. But first, I want to talk a little bit about writing. Mike, I'm not even sure what this is. What the heck are we looking at?
This is the basic 3-act structure of any novel, any story, any screenplay that,
Actually, I meant to show this slide first. Let me show this slide first. This is out of the book. My slides are in terrible order. It's out of the book Story by Robert McKee. I seem to have gotten the slides out of order. So out of the book Story, which you said you had actually taken the course. I had read the book and done the audiobook. And I was always struck by what is called the 3-act structure. Mike, what is the 3-act structure, and what are these minutes that are noted here?
These are just the basic, minutes of where certain things will take place in the story. And it's pretty fun if you follow this along with any, average movie, you will find these things happening roughly around these time frames. Like the first act is, page 1 to 30, which is about 30 minutes in. And if you watch a movie and time it out, it will roughly coincide around 30 minutes for the end of Act 1, which is always kind of neat to do when you're watching, some movie, to be like, hey, does this actually follow it? And you stop it and you're like, hey, it does.
Oh, look, Mike didn't leave us after all. I kicked him out for no reason.
On the chat.
Well, he's on the chat, and he did take some people during his live show on the chat, some of his friends. But one of the things that I learned from reading this book, and by the way, I'll just pull this up real quick like this. I have a copy of the book. It is a big book, right, Mike? It's a doorstop of the book. It's one of, I think, 4 or 5 books on the craft of writing screenplays. Oh, that's right. Can't wake the kids. Janet could have been saying hello, husband, to Mike Dolce as well. That's true.
Very true.
Could have been almost that, or she could have been saying hi, Mike, to Mike Dolce.
Yep. We never know.
We'll never know. One of the things that's fascinating to me is I always thought that 3 acts, they would be broken up evenly. And what I learned in Story by Robert McKee is that Act 1 and Act 3 are approximately 30 pages, and Act 2 is approximately 60 pages.
Yeah, because that's where all the good stuff takes place.
Yeah, there's a math to this, Mike.
Yeah.
In this particular example, the movie is 120 minutes. What movies are now? What you shoot for 90 or 100?
Well, I mean, the movies these days they all seem to be over 2 hours, but it used to be like a movie was hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. 2 hours was a long movie, but now 2 hours is just kind of run of the mill.
Just a warm up in a trilogy.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the reasons I'm showing this is because until they turn you on, there you go. You can never have too many mics until they turn you on. This is the audience just chatting amongst themselves, nothing to do with us. So I was recommended this book. They are on us. I was recommended to read this book by first Glenn Herdling, and I think Brian Michael Bendis had also recommended it. So it was earlier in my career. I read the book. I really came to understand story structure, and I thought it was fascinating. And it helped me to think about how to plot a comic. Of course, at that point, I was writing to the 22-page format, but then you were writing to 5 issues. And you had to think about how you could break this down. But McKee also, within the book, literally facing pages, this is where he shows the breakdown, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. But then he goes through subplots. Mike, for those people who kind of sort of know what a subplot is, but kind of sort of might not know what a subplot A, a subplot B, and a subplot C is, explain the designation between A, B, and C.
The subplots are just kind of like B stories. In any sitcom, you have the A story of, like somebody going to the store, but the B story is something else that happens, or something else that's happening to someone else that's in the story. So it's a part of the story, but it's not the full thing. It's just kind of there. It keeps things moving along. It adds in some extra characters, but it's not the main brunt of the story.
All right. So what McKee does here, in my mind, is brilliant for comic writers and any kind of visual storyteller. He makes it very visual in that you can understand exactly how to lay out your story. Now, this is literally the definition of formulaic. And when a professional screenwriter like yourself has gotten past the point where you understand the structure, should you follow this structure? Is this a structure that is great for learning, but not necessarily in practice. Give me some context as a professional writer.
It's totally something that you should follow, because that's what everybody, looks for. It's the basic 3-act structure. You can have a bunch of different acts, especially for those, those super, super long movies where things go, up and down and crazy, but everything does fit into the 3-act structure to, make a good film. If you have all the points along the way, it'll be a well put together film.
See, I agree. I don't think formulaic is necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Formulaic is bad if you're derivative and you're not original. It just gives you some pages to shoot for. If you've read bad screenplays, and I'm sure you have, where you're like, where is this going? And by page 30, you really want to know where it's going, what's about to happen, and if it's worth continuing with the story. And I think what McKee has done in Story, again, it's a pretty old book. I
it's in the 90s. Should be.
Is it early. The 90s? Were you even born in the 90s, Mike?
I was an old man in the 90s.
1997. So it was, this book came out in 1997. Now McKee has other books and other resources you can get off of his website. Oops, nope, that's the wrong one. Stop sharing. Present. Well, I was looking to see if I could find the price for it. Let's see. Window? No.
That hardcover is probably $15, $20.
Yeah, it's actually very reasonable. So this is he has story, action, character, dialogue, and storynomics. I've only read Story. I don't know if you've read any of the other books.
No.
They're quite long and very dry. And I think one of the things about it is, once you've read Story, if you really want to get into some of the others, I've understood. I never saw the course, Mike. Have you attended the course?
I did. I took the course probably back in 97 or 98. And it was good. He's up there and he details basically what's in the book.
Yeah, basically he does the book, right?
Yeah, you don't need to take the course, but it is cool to listen to him talk about it, because that's always interesting to me.
It is. Yeah, and I agree with Sire Studios. There's nothing that's Michael Dolce, nothing wrong with a winning formula. It is a winning formula, and it works. Yeah. And a lot of comic writers use it, and it's a framework, it's a structure. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that book. We did. What do you say we get on to the next stuff, Mike?
I think we should get on to the next stuff, bud.
All right, let's get on to the next stuff. So you can find that book and more at Robert McKee's website. Highly recommended. You can get an audiobook. You can get the physical book. You can get whatever you need. Mike, I have some random news for you, stuff that sometimes you will know about, sometimes you won't. But officially, Comixology is gone.
It's dead. It's no more.
It is dead. And this was a very interesting article that was published on The Beat today. I thought people should check it out because it is a very good history of how Comixology came around, why it took off, why it fell apart. Oh, hold on. Catilla says it's the beginning, middle, and the end. It's just a question of what you have the conclusion. Can you read this? Because I'm tired.
It's the beginning, middle, and end. It's just a question of if you want to have the conclusion start in the middle or at the beginning of part 3.
I felt like I couldn't get through that whole sentence, but it was a good point though. It is a good
a lot to get through.
Well, but he's advocating for the structure.
Yeah,
I mean, not necessarily the order, right?
The structure obviously works because it's based on what everybody has done and what has been successful.
It's the gold standard. Dolce says, I read it, really solid read. And you should take Mike's advice. Not only is he a nice guy and a co-host, but he's a successful writer. I hope you guys check out his Instagram. And I'll be talking about that in a moment there, Mike. But we had put Comic Book School Comics on Comixology. I'm not joking. People thought I was joking. I think I made about $7 fully over all the multiple years that I had my comics on Comixology. I think I made about $7.
Well, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, then it got purchased by Amazon. They left it alone for a long time, and then they started to tinker with it, and it started to go on to the Kindle. It didn't make sense. It always seemed like Comixology was a winning formula. It was great on the tablet. It was good on the mobile device. But, sometimes good things come to an end. I was sad to see that Comixology went away. We interviewed Global Comics here just recently. It seems like there's some replacement webtoons. So I think there's some replacements out there. So if you like reading your comics digitally, and I do sometimes, I think there'll be a replacement.
Is there still, like, I guess, a comic reading place on Amazon, or is it just completely done?
I think you can read comics on your Kindle app, which you can put on an iPad or an Android device. Yeah, he had noted once it was sold to Amazon, that was it. Yeah, it was the beginning of the end. Although, to be honest, they left it alone for at least 2 years. They just left it there. Now, was I crazy about Comixology? Well, as a reader, I liked it. As a seller, I thought, okay, this is it. I'm going to get my comic books out to the reading market. Get ready, world. Here I come. And I methodically put my comics together and metadated and put them on my website, and I made $7. And I paid taxes on it.
Well, win some, you lose some.
Yeah, so there are some alternatives out there for digital comics reading, but certainly I was sad to see that, they lost some good people. Although Chip Mosher, who was their PR guy, nice guy, launched Distillery Comics. So we're going to see if we can get him to come on the show, talk about his journey, and see if we can get some of the other folks there from Comixology to talk Dolce. Apparently they were very good at pushing Sire books back in the day. Yeah, they might have pushed it, but did you make any money? I mean, that's pushing and actually monetizing are two different things. And I'm curious. Yeah, might have made $14. Yes, he doubled my income. I was disappointed, Mike. Very disappointed.
Well, maybe if we get the old Comixology people on the show, they can tell you what you did wrong.
Well, I had made a comic with Mike Martz, our friend Mike Martz, and Pat Quinn, Necrotic, and we were thinking about, well, how do we split $1 million 3 ways? And we were like, well, when we get to that. By the way, it's not as easy to split $7 3 ways, especially when I've had taxes taken out of that $7, and I'm not really sure what was left.
Good times, bud. Good times.
Not so good times. But I am going to run a video because it ties into Instagram and where we are going next. One of the reasons we have this show on StreamYard, Mike, is because our good friend Rob AnderSin saved me during the pandemic. We were looking for a way to get this show back online. And Rob was gracious enough to let me use the StreamYard account, which, by the way, this weekend we transitioned. He removed all of his different StreamYardy things and all of his broadcasts and back shows. And I paid for the account, and now it is a Comic Book School exclusive account. We're not sharing it with anybody anymore, Mike.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations on spending money. He was letting me use it for free. That was an awful nice thing.
Came in handy.
Yeah. Anyway, Rob is moving to TikTok, which do you use TikTok, Mike?
I've occasionally tuned in.
I got to tell you, I tried it. It wasn't for me. It is a juggernaut. It is the fastest growing social media network in history. It's just getting bigger. And, we get like a new viewer a week on Comic Book School. But watch this quick interview that I did with Rob. It's a little long, but I think you'll find it interesting because he explains a little bit about the economics of TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Rob AnderSin. It's been a little while since we've checked in with our old friend, Rob AnderSin. Some people call him Mr. AnderSin. Let's dial in and see if we can find Rob AnderSin. Rob, there you are. What are you doing?
It's Christmas. I'm putting up the Christmas tree. What are you doing, buddy?
It looks very Christmassy with a tank top on.
It's Florida. It's hot today, and my garage is a mess now because I had to rip out the Christmas. I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. We're just starting, so don't judge me. I'm just going to give you just a tip, just a little tip of what this is going to be. So here we go. That's the beginning. The elves are
Ah,
working.
nice.
So we got all the Christmas stuff. You'll see a lot of comic book stuff. So what's going on, buddy? How are you doing this holiday season?
Actually, I had the same question for you. You seem to have moved all of your operations to TikTok, and I wanted everybody to know what you were doing and why you've moved over to TikTok.
Well, buddy, you know, and you were one of the people who showed up during the pandemic every week. You were inspirational to so many people. We were meeting and we were together and we were doing, I think at that point weren't we using Google something?
Google Meet. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were all meeting in these things. And the audience just isn't there anymore on YouTube like it once was. People don't want what I call the talking heads. It's 5 people in a room, 4 of them looking bored when they're not talking. And there is some benefits to YouTube still to this day. And I probably will use YouTube sparingly. And it's nothing against StreamYard. I like StreamYard. I think it's a good thing. But I've become, well, you're vertical. I'm now a horizontal creator.
That's right. That's right.
As you guys can see, because I'm on my phone. And I get to make shorter attention span videos, which ultimately, if we're being honest, that's where our society is moving every day. No one wants to sit around and have that hour-long conversation. So much so that YouTube's now updated and allows you to fast forward videos. So if you don't know, you can actually play videos at 3 times the speed. I watch Buddy's shows in 5 minutes now.
Are they any better that way, Rob?
I think you'd make a good chipmunk. We'll put it there.
Yeah. Now you are about, I don't know, how many followers in right now are you in this new show that you're doing? And I'm going to pull up some of your graphics. You seem to have quite a lot of followers on your new channel, which I believe is PG-13, rated R. What are we talking?
More for adults. It's about the alternate lifestyles. Think of 50 Shades of Grey, kids, but actually informational and taught. It's nothing. Don't instantly go to thinking it's something that's going to be tantalizing to your eyes. It's an informational channel. So there's no whatsoever. There's nothing technically on the channel that could not easily be shown to anyone. More word-based. And it's more lectury and talking and discussing, kind of like what we do at comic books. Sometimes we're not always talking about, we're not always showing the covers that get some people to buy videos. Let's put it that. I mean, buy comics.
Rob, you have 1,709 followers already.
Yeah, but I just started. It's only been about 90 days. Give me some time. I promise it'll be.
That's incredible. That's more than I have on the Comic Book School channel. So if people wanted to find you, they would go to this profile that I have pulled up here. But then you also have another profile for comic book advocates as well. Also 1,107 followers.
And the cool thing about when you break 1,000 followers on TikTok, and this is kind of cool, and it's a great way to build your community on TikTok, is you get to go live. So all I have to do is, let's see, I go to my app. I go to my app here, and I can. And one of the things I like, I don't know about you, but I'm very dyslexic and I can't spell to save my life. Someone put a gun to my head and say spell cat, I might die that day. I could be the end of my life. But I could just come onto my phone, use the microphone, hanging out with Buddy from Comic Book School, hit done, go live. And now, believe it or not, we're live on TikTok.
You were live on TikTok, my first live on TikTok. Okay, so you have the Comic Book Advocates channel, you have the Kink Educator channel, and then this other graphic. Oh, this is more of Kink Educator, of what they will find out and learn on your channel. Now, this is consistent with the comics you would published as well, right, Rob?
Yes, and the comics are going to be educational. They're always going to be educational. But ironically, there are things in my comic I can't show on TikTok because I know you're going to laugh because everyone's seen the TikToks with the girls doing things to get views, and I'll leave it there. And some of the things, it's a weird rule they have. you can talk about it in an educational way, and this is kind of what I've had on Facebook, but you can't admit what you're doing by showing anything that could even be considered in any way endorsing it. So it's a fine line to walk on, believe it or not, but you do what you got to do. So now, right now, while we're live here, we have about 40 people already watching.
Okay,
Now,
so we're pulling up your graphic here. This is content intended for mature kinksters only. I'm not even NSFV. What is NSFV?
not safe for vanillas.
Not safe for vanillas. 18 plus. What's MK?
Mature kinksters only.
All right, listen, Rob. I'm going to let you get back to the Christmas decorating. Thank you for dialing in. Everybody, be sure to check out what Rob's doing on his new channel. I'm pulling up the graphics here. Rob, thanks so much for dialing in. And don't make yourself a stranger. If you have anything to announce, definitely join us here at Comic Book School Live as a guest.
Appreciate it. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, Rob. That Rob, he's a nice guy, isn't he?
He is a very nice guy. Yep, he's helped us out a lot over the years.
He did help us out. Hold on. That guy needs a t-shirt. Who is he trying to impress? Lol. I wonder if that's Rob himself typing that. Actually, Rob's got arms like the size of my thighs, and I have substantial thighs, Mike. He's a swell dude.
Swell dude.
He is a swell dude. Anyway, I think the key thing, Mike, is that it is Rob. I think the thing about YouTube is it is really hard to get followers. We've been doing this now for a year and a half. We love every one of our followers. We just don't have that many. And I think that it's really hard to get subscribers. I mean, that guy went live and had 40 people watching him. He's got 1,700 followers. Swole dude. Yeah. Swole. What is swole, Mike? Swole's a word,
Swole,
isn't it?
after you go into the gym and you get all swole, you know.
Oh, that's swole? Like,
Yeah,
that's
swole.
What people say about you?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, they don't say that about me.
Dude.
So, Mike, I will tell you that after, I was on Twitter from the very, very beginning. I am now shifting a lot of our operations over to Instagram, partially because I just don't get the appeal of TikTok. I totally have tried it. I am now posting, maybe not daily. I went from like 800 followers to 1,036 in a matter of 2 weeks. Now, 1,036 is really kind of low, but I am indeed moving from Twitter over to Instagram. Obviously, I will continue here with the YouTube channel, but for my social media, I'm not finding Twitter to be effective anymore. Do you use Twitter much anymore, Mike?
Barely. I mean, I post now and then. I mostly just read it, and if I find something interesting, I'll retweet it or repost it.
Yeah, I kind of ignored this account for a really long time. This Instagram account. Mike, do you remember the original Wizard World design?
I do.
On AOL. There you go. So you'll find the original Wizard World design on AOL. Follow us on Comic Book School. Just showing random stuff behind the scenes. I'm showing, unused photos from the book. I'm showing, this is another behind the scenes of when we were photographing one of the books, the Women and Girls book. A place to promote the shows. Things like that. This is the Women and Girls book, and then this is the foreign edition. So things that I've never really shown in any other place. I'll be showing things like Comic Book School live events. This is from Morocco, so some of the things that we were doing in Morocco. So yeah, I'm going to start to make that switch over. Oh yeah, and this is one of my favorites. These are I signed their faces. I love that, but I just felt like I had to make the move. It wasn't, Twitter isn't, I'm not getting impressions. I've never, I
I mean,
couldn't do it.
the TikTok thing is definitely an option. You can just put a couple of little clips up there and start gathering an audience on that site too.
Yeah, Sire Studios. I mean, Dolce has a pretty decent following. Let's just see. Dolce has a pretty decent following. Let's see. He has. So, yeah, I mean, he has triple what I have. And he even noted that he didn't even put his own new comic book up there. So he was a few minutes ago was like, oh, then my comic's not up there. So I think, I think the audience is there on Instagram. But I don't know if I'm going to keep going with Twitter. Since the summer, Twitter's been rough. I never liked Instagram because it's all pictures. I have only begrudgingly started using Instagram. I love Instagram, Mike. I love looking at people's pictures, but I'm very conscious of sharing photos. I have a private account and then the comic book school account, and the private account's locked. And I limit the people who can see the photos. And then the comic book school I have not been using. I was pushing on Twitter, and it wasn't going anywhere.
Well, now you can start pushing on Instagram.
So I don't know. Do you use Instagram much?
Again, not much. I'll go on and I'll just see what's going on. I'll scroll through quickly. It's, like, I think it was Glenn who just said that it's all pictures. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'll see a couple of good pictures here and there.
Yeah.
But generally, I'm more of I kind of like a little story, or would rather watch even a 10, 15-second video.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the action has moved from Twitter to Instagram. And by the way, every day, Mike, if you follow me on Instagram, I don't know, can I show it? Am I able to show stories? Hold on. Let me just see real quick. I've been doing my stories where I do the reels. Let's see. Do the reels show up on desktop? No, that's other people's reels. Let me see my reels. Let me see. See if it works. It doesn't show my reels. But I'm showing my. Oh, that's my personal one. It's Buddy Scalera.
Oh,
oops.
Nobody can see that one.
Anyway, long and short of it is, if you guys are not yet following, please follow me on Comic Book School on the Instagram. Subscribe. Yeah, that's it, Mike.
Yep, you got to like and comment as well.
Like and comment. Hold on, he says, if there was an artist, not a writer, I would only exist there. Well, I'm not a writer either. I'm just showing pictures of things that I find that are interesting.
Well, it's whatever you like the best.
It's whatever you like the best. Wow. You sound like somebody's mom who's like,
Bit of knowledge right
you
there.
didn't win first place, but it's whatever you like the best. All right, my people should like, comment, and subscribe to our show. We thank Michael Dolce for joining us and talking about what he's doing with Rogue Matters, and congratulate him on his LA Comic-Con successes. We also thank Rob AnderSin for his generosity in teaching us how to use StreamYard, and quite literally funding StreamYard for Comic Book School. All this has been funded by Rob up until this point. So I am very grateful for his generosity and his time and teaching me how to use it. So if you like the show, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But if you like this show, be sure to check out Rogue Matters with Michael Dolce, and of course, check out Rob AnderSin on TikTok. Sound good, Mike?
Sounds good.
All right, pal. I will see you next week, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That goes for you too, Mike.
I will.